Hi everybody, and welcome to the relaunch of the Rachel Holmes podcast, and I'm thrilled to be welcoming my next guest. We have been aiming to do this for the last 6 months, but for one thing and another we've not managed to, and with the relaunch of the podcast I thought I know the right person who I need to get onto this. So welcome to the podcast. It's Rachel Hubbard. Rachel, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, and thank you for inviting me, and hopefully we're going to have a good chat about things.
We definitely will, because we've already been chatting for 15 minutes and we could have carried on, couldn't we, before we even went with the podcast. So Rachel, for anybody listening and watching who doesn't know you, will you give me an update of who you are? Who is Rachel Hubbard?
I know, because it's a kind of thing, isn't it? You kind of go like, Rachel Hubbard, people go, who's that? So I've been in the fitness industry for a very long time, so since 1986, and during that time I worked with the YMCA, was course director with YMCA, and worked with Fitness Wales. I've then been working in Aberystwyth University, I did my degree, blah, blah, blah. The reason that you've invited me is because of the research that I've done into menopause and exercise. And that came through my own personal experience of menopause, and suddenly realizing that as a course director, even though I've been delivering gym level 2, gym level 3, GP referral, osteoporosis, all of these things, menopause is not taught to fitness professionals. And I was thinking, like, this is wrong. We need to know what happens to a woman as she gets to 40, 50, 60, 70 that is not taught on standard courses. And why is this not taught on standard courses? So I wrote a course, got passed by CIMSPA, I ran it 3 times, and then the YMCA said to me, we want to buy your course. And for the past 18 months, I've been working with the YMCA, and we've developed level 3 menopause and exercise in 3 different phases. It's the first professional course for fitness instructors to say, like, I understand you. If you're a woman over 40, I know, even if I don't speak to you about it face to face, I kind of understand the physical and physiological, psychological things that are affecting your life, and I can tailor my program to suit you.
That's wonderful, Rachel. Amazing. Tell me, I'm going to backtrack and ask you a backstory question. So you were teaching group exercise. I've been teaching since 86 as well, so we must be about the same age or thereabouts. And you decided to go into education. What route did you go into education, and why, when you were teaching group exercise? What made you go down that huge path of all the education and learning that you've done?
Well, if you've been teaching from 1986, do you remember when you first trained as group exercise instructors? There was no qualification.
There was none.
There was nothing. And I did like a little course in Glossop with Ambeeks, actually.
Oh, I know Ambeeks, yes.
And it wasn't registered. So then we had to go through the RSA.
RSA.
Oh, do you remember that?
I do.
So I went to my RSA in Cardiff in front of the Y instructors. So Jill Gaskell was there.
Yes.
Sonia Higgs was there, and after I taught my class, they said, would you like to be a tutor? And I was like, yeah, I would, because I love teaching. I don't know about you, but the pleasure I get is watching people change. Mm-hmm. And I thought, yeah, I do. So I went to work with a Y. I spent many years traveling back and forth from West Wales to London, teaching all their courses, learning. I mainly did gym, which was really funny because I'm a group exercise person, but gym instructor was a thing. And I worked with Jackie Hobbs. I just had such a great time. And I think I love teaching, and I love teaching teachers, because you feel like you are now like a catalyst, because all of those teachers are teaching hundreds of people. So if you've got 20 people on your course, think of the amount of people that they're teaching. And then I went to work in Aberystwyth University, but I am actually married to an academic.
Oh, are you?
I am.
Right.
Married to an esteemed professor, believe it or not.
Wow.
He keeps me on my toes, because he goes like, yeah, but you can't say that. You've got to find out the research. And I got really frustrated as a PT person. And I've actually stopped teaching PT because of this, because you devise a program based on all your knowledge, and they come back with all these excuses about why they didn't do it. And I was like, what am I going to do, for goodness sake? And they were doing a degree course. It was free to staff to do modules on the psychology of learning. And I thought, that's what I need to do. I need to go and find out why people know exercise is good for them, but don't bother.
Yes.
So I did these different modules, and somebody said to me, look, you've got enough modules to go ahead and do your degree. So I did my degree, and I based it around people I was teaching. So every essay, whether it was about osteoporosis or weight loss, was all around my PT clients. And my dissertation was based on my PT clients who were coming to me going like, Rachel, I'm putting on weight on my stomach. I can't get rid of it. You must have had this for women over 40, kind of going like, I'm doing exactly the same thing, I'm eating the same, and I'm getting heavier. Why is this happening? And I did my dissertation on menopause, but because I was interested in the driver, what makes you want to exercise, I did it on the psychological aspects of menopause. And that's how I kind of got into teaching and delivering, was I have this kind of thirst for knowledge, but also to tell people the way. And I think because I'm married to an academic, I think the word is standing on the shoulders of giants, isn't it? What has gone before? What have people shown us that works? So I think about something and go like, why have I got knee pain when I'm going through menopause? And I go into Google Scholar and I go like, give me all the papers on knee pain and menopause. And you're going to go like, what? How did I not know that? And that's how I'm like driven, because I know somebody, you know somebody in your class with knee pain. You know somebody in your class with frozen shoulder.
I do.
You know more women in your classes with frozen shoulder as they get older. And you kind of go like, what is the common factor in frozen shoulder? Oh, it's menopause. And I go like, what? Why? And I think that's my teaching aspects. I love teaching. I've been a teacher all my life. When I teach my classes, I still feel like I'm a teacher imparting knowledge.
I love that. So did you crack the code then, doing that in your dissertation? Did you work out why we all give these these lovely programs to people and they don't do them? Did you crack that?
Yeah, I did. I think I did. Anyway, I think I did based on the theories. So it was really interesting. So in my dissertation, I based it all on questionnaires. And one of them was confidence going into the gym. How confident do you feel going into the gym? And the other one, which is really interesting, Rachel, was about self-presentation. So social presentation, and about how we do not want to present ourselves as failing. All right. So we look good, we walk into the gym. So quite a lot of the confidence comes from, I'm not going to fit in, I'm going to feel awkward, I don't look slim enough, I haven't got the right kit, I don't know how to use machines. How do we get over that? Then the other one was the lying. Yeah, I have really trained, I've worked really hard, but really they want to please you.
Yeah.
And about why are they doing it to please you when the person who's impacted most of all is themselves?
Is them.
And I think what I found out was that people are motivated when they get something out of it.
Yeah.
So if you don't get anything out of your exercise program, you won't continue. You can have the best exercise on paper, scientifically proven, but if you personally don't feel the joy, forget it. You won't do it again. If you don't like going to the gym, you won't go. You'll go for a few weeks, but you won't keep going. But if you know that the gym will make you reduce your back pain or improve your muscle mass, even if you hate it, you'll go, I'm doing this for me. And then you'll keep going.
I love that. Rachel, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. So the majority of people that will be listening and watching our podcast today will be group fitness instructors. So I think many group fitness instructors are really interested in gaining as much knowledge as they can around the menopause. And we've seen, since you and I have been in the fitness industry, from never being mentioned to now, it's like, you know, you want to buy a red car and you don't see any red cars, and suddenly red cars are everywhere. Yes. So now, you know, we can't even, our feed is full of menopause, it's full of menopause gadgets, clothes, food, supplements, celebrities, it's everywhere. The information is absolutely everywhere. So for a group fitness instructor who thinks, yeah, I'd like to do the level 3 menopause, I feel that there's a need. I've got many clients who are peri to postmenopausal. Where do you see this knowledge can be used? Do you think that a woman in 2025 wants to go to a menopause class that's specific, do you think they want to be integrated into something? And if so, how? That's a challenge.
Yeah.
Where do you think this knowledge fits in, and how do we apply it as a group fitness teacher?
Well, I think you coined the right word there, Rachel. It's knowledge. Okay. So what knowledge do I bring to my classes that somebody without menopause training doesn't? So let's take the person who wants to lose weight. I've said, like, this exercise works. Now, my menopause knowledge will tell you that when you go through the menopause, you can only access, or you access 20% less body fat per calorie burn than you would pre-menopause. So you're kind of thinking, okay, so I could be doing the same level of exercise and it doesn't work. What do I now have to do? Because if your menopause client is coming to you to maintain body weight or just to feel good about themselves, how do we embrace the fact that A, your body is changing shape, you are moving your body fat from its normal storage areas under your arms and your hips to around your belly, that you feel more self-conscious about it? Do we kind of say to people, oh, they're not training hard enough? You know, if you just did the training hard enough. Whereas if we understand with menopause, we can say to group instructors, you have to change the way you deliver classes. So for example, things that I do, that you do, things like the fitness Pilates, is you want to have shorter bursts of higher intensity to access that fat burn that women over 40, over 50 aren't getting. You have to target muscle mass because muscle decline is so quick. And then you have that metabolic impact on calorie burn after that. Plus, you have to deal with anxiety. And I think this is really interesting because the anxiety that happens in menopause, where you're too nervous to come to a class. When you get to the class, you're absolutely terrified, you're scared of looking stupid. And so you perform exercises really small and kind of, I'll be quiet. So group exercise instructors can meet the person and say, like, welcome to the community. What's your name? What do you do? Maybe introduce them to people, because understanding that with that menopause training, the courses that you run, that level 3 tells you this person is going to be more anxious. Number 1, because we can't control cortisol the way we used to. Number 2, anxiety and depression is higher. Number 3, we know they can't fat burn the same, so we have to change the exercise protocol. Number 4, they're feeling lonely and isolated, so we need to build community. And group exercise is phenomenal for building community. And when people feel like they belong, they come back.
They do.
It's good for your business, but it's fantastic for those people because they don't feel like a square peg in a round hole because you get them. So you don't have to say things like, right, if you're in the menopause, because they want your knowledge. They don't want to know all the bad things about menopause. They want to know that you understand maybe 20 jumping jacks is rubbish, but maybe 1 jumping jack will work. 2 squats, 1 jumping jack is okay. 10 jumping jacks on the spot, maybe not. That kind of understanding where you're not making that woman feel awkward, uncomfortable, stupid, unfit, fat, flabby, not able to bend down because their knees are hurting and they've got aching joints. And to say to them, you can do this. And I always say to women, even if you haven't had children, if your body is capable of growing a whole new human, you are capable of growing a few more muscle cells for yourself.
Definitely. Oh, Rachel, I love that. So and group exercise instructors are brilliant at building community. They're the best in the world at building community and friendships and connections and camaraderie. They are the best. I love that. So it's just generally implementing your knowledge into your mainstream and your existing classes. And maybe with your marketing and your social media, when you get those qualifications, you shout about it. You tell everybody, I'm a level 3 menopause practitioner. I see you. I hear for you. And I'm here in the class for you.
See you is the thing, isn't it? Because you will then find at the beginning or the end of class, they'll come up to you and they'll go, oh, Rachel, do you know anything about this, about the menopause? Don't
Yeah.
you? And that's the thing, is that you don't have to teach menopause in your class. You have
Yes.
to acknowledge it,
I love it.
adapt it, and then have that conversation. Because women will feel like, people want something out of the class. If you're not giving it, because you're kind of going like, everybody has to do the same thing,
Yeah.
or we all have to try this hard, or, if you can't do 10 jumping jacks, well, something wrong with you. That understanding that menopause women have about other menopausal women is phenomenal. And I think, and I've got 3 sons, male instructors will suddenly have their eyes opened into things that women go through that men have got no idea about.
That's for sure. Do you, because you're so heavily into the research, how is the research overall looking? Are we seeing more studies that are performed on menopausal women? Is the outlook positive? Are we getting the information? Is the information coming through on HRT, medication, lifestyle? Is it all supporting what we are thinking and seeing?
Slowly, I think, because, like I say, the level 3 GP referral course hasn't changed.
Yeah.
So we're still training people that, okay, let's take osteoporosis, because this is one of the things when I was doing my research that I suddenly had this huge mental shift about weight training. I need to go to the gym to I have to go to the gym. Okay. That was a big thing for me, because I'm a group exercise, I'm aerobics, I'm like, choreography, dancing, step. Gym wasn't my thing. It's like really boring sitting there. To all of a sudden kind of going like, I have to do weights, because I had ovarian cancer. And during that time, I've had all my female organs removed from down below. Okay. So I have no womb, I have no cervix, I have no ovaries, which impacts my menopausal health greater than somebody who still has all those bits. And one of the pieces of research I read said HRT improved bone density without exercise. I was like, what do you mean it improves bone density? And what I found is that estrogen is so responsible for improving bone density because it increases osteoblasts, the builders. And without HRT, the only way you can do it is to stimulate growth hormone. And you're going to go like, so without estrogen, my bone doing group exercise is not enough. It's not enough, because I have nothing in my body that is making new bone mass. Nothing. Zero. Now, the longer I'm without that capacity, the more at risk I am of fracture. And then the life expectancy of a fracture is not brilliant. And so how do I go about changing that? So they did this amazing study where they put 3 groups of women into a training program. They had one group of women who did no training, no HRT. They had one group of women who did training and HRT. And then they had one group of women doing no training but on HRT. So the group of women who had no training and no HRT had 0 change in their bone mass density over this 12-month period. The people who did exercise, going to the gym and lifting heavy weights, had improvement in bone mass density. But the group that had the most was the people on HRT.
Wow.
All right? And that's because when you do exercise, you improve bone mass, but you have to have either estrogen or growth hormone. Now, so say like if you've had cancer and you've had radiotherapy or chemotherapy, then your ovaries probably don't work, okay? Or if they do work, they're not at efficient. If you've had cancer at 35, 40, you've got a huge long period of your life where your bone mass density is declining. And unless you take that step up and kind of putting weights in every workout you can do, and do impact work wherever you can do, that makes a difference. And those kind of statistics for me blew my mind. And the other one,
blow my. Is that for postmenopausal women, or is it women still having a cycle? Does it apply to post?
Well, your estrogen drops when you stop having your cycle, but you can stop having your cycle if you've had, say, like if you've had breast cancer and you've had chemotherapy, you won't have any ovaries. And so you'll be in the same boat.
Fantastic.
And I think like lots of women have bowel cancer,
Yeah.
young women, and they lose their bone mass density, but also having children. And this is the other thing that I didn't know, was that you've been on the osteoporosis course where they say nil parity is a high risk for osteoporosis. Do you know why?
No idea.
No, I've taught it for years. If you've not had any children, that's because when you are pregnant, you have a massive super dose of estrogen and progesterone, like super. So the more children you've had, think of our parents and grandparents who might have had
yes.
You had a super boost of estrogen that sustained you throughout those years when you didn't have estrogen. If you've had no children, you're more likely to have an early menopause, so you're longer.
Interesting.
And going into menopause, your estrogen levels are lower. So the older you have children, the kind of more you offset menopause. And all of a sudden you kind of go like, okay, I get it. I need to do weights in my class. I need to do fitness Pilates, not normal Pilates, because I need to do additional. I have to do a bit extra. Not because I want to look after my body for my holiday in 2 weeks' time, but because I don't want to be in a nursing home.
This is fantastic. This information, the studies that you've just talked about, I've not heard of those studies. I've not seen those. So this needs to be more prevalent, doesn't it? We need to be promoting this so people can see this.
Yeah. And the three big things are bone loss, dementia, because that is just the scariest thing ever. And heart disease. So heart disease is the biggest killer of all women in the world, apart from in Wales, where dementia is the biggest killer.
Is it? Dementia in Wales?
And both of them are related to lack of estrogen. And all of a sudden you kind of go like, why are we not taught this at school? Why are girls in school not said, don't do exercise to be the best at sport, but do exercise because you need to protect your health? Now, I deal with a lot of women, probably like you, who hated sport at school.
Oh, yeah.
And kind of come to group exercise because group exercise is fun and you can dance around. And we can teach that. We can teach people the love of coming back to exercise, at the same time understanding heart disease kills more women than anything else. And yet you don't see it. You see more advertising for breast cancer.
Yeah.
You can put all the cancers together, all of them, bowel cancer, breast cancer, ovarian cancer, everything. More people die of heart issues.
That's incredible. Incredible.
We need to change our mindset.
We definitely do. Another thing that's in the mix now, so since we all started offering the level 3 menopause, and before now, since you wrote that qualification, we are now seeing the emergence of, course, GLP-1s. So we now have another component into the mix that is being, and I have seen a study, a very early study, or I've seen information around HRT and women on GLP-1s. Yeah. So there is emerging research on that. Have you read or seen anything about this? Very interesting.
It's so interesting because GLP-1s is an absolute game changer because it reduces our risk of heart disease. Okay. Now, for women, whether they're doing it for weight loss and external issues, who cares? It doesn't matter, because long term, the protection for health in terms of heart issues is phenomenal. But it's influenced by hormones. If you're on HRT or you're not on HRT, or if you are going through a natural menopause where your estrogen is in slow decline, or you've gone through a chemical or surgical menopause where you have zero estrogen, okay, because you have no ovaries, then the GLP reacts differently. So women on HRT have a quicker weight loss than women who are not on HRT. And women with no ovaries and no estrogen have a slower loss on GLP-1s. And understanding that makes you realize all the things that we talk about how we burn fat. There's no evidence for GLP-1. This wonder drug that they're now calling is going to save the world from obesity. All of a sudden, we can see, actually, it doesn't work the same on women with no estrogen. Why is that? That's because we can't access our fat stores the same.
Oh, this is fascinating.
Do you remember the old days where, the husband would leave their wife who's in their 50s because they let themselves go?
Yes.
And I go like, had we known about metabolism, had we understood metabolism of females, and about the way that our metabolism changes, and here we are with GPL1 kind of going like, okay, reacts differently in males and females.
This is fascinating.
It is fascinating. But I think then when you are level 3 trained, you have the knowledge, you have the understanding, you understand your customer, your client so much better. You don't have to talk about the menopause, you just kind of have to know it.
Yeah, agreed. So with you and I have been talking about this off camera, but what's your dream? What's your goal? Now, you have been a pioneer in creating this groundbreaking qualification. Yeah. We know things in education move quite slowly. We know things in the fitness industry, although it feels like everything's moving really quickly. On the education side, it's really not. You and I know it's not. We have a whole host of amazing group fitness. My sadness is we've got some amazing group fitness instructors who are our age, and we're losing them. We're losing them because the pay in the group fitness industry is not particularly great. You've really got to love it. Unless you're building a community business, which I champion, you have a great community business, and there is a huge opportunity for community businesses wherever you are around the country. I do believe there's a massive section of women that don't want to go to a club or be a member of. They want to go to the cheers theory, the bar where everybody knows your name, where everyone's going to look after you. So what would your dream be with this qualification? How can we use it? Where do we go with it? What's the next step?
Well, as you say, we talked about it because I think we need to drive it through GP surgery, NHS, medical, all right? Because we build communities. We are great at building communities. What women don't want to do is to say, like, follow this exercise plan because that works. Because it's so demotivating, it's so demoralizing, and it doesn't recognize the person. Group community instructors spend all their lives communicating.
Oh, they do.
Verbally, emotionally, with smiles, with the effort we put in before we get to class. And all we have to do is to say, let's build a community where women feel honored, respected, seen, that fragility is not their future, that being strong is where they can be and how they can fit in. In the fitness industry, for me at the moment, I find so frustrating because it's more like, do this exercise and look like me. I'm sorry, I don't want to look like anybody else. I want to feel like myself. And I think when you go through menopause, you lose who you were.
Yeah.
You're no longer fertile. You feel like you're past it. And you kind of go like, do I have a value in community? Do I have a value in life? And when you nurture your own body with understanding about why you're doing it, then this is way to be. Now, the NHS is understanding in a massive style. So, for example, let's go back to osteoporosis. So if you had an osteoporotic fracture, you would go to osteoporotic fracture clinic, wait 6 weeks till the fracture healed. Then you'd go to this. Not anymore. The minute you go to osteoporotic fracture clinic in Wales now, they put you on HRT straight away because
wow, do they? Wow.
Within a year, you will have another break. And 2 breaks within 12 months means that your life expectancy is reduced by 40%. This is the group that we want to be exercising. And you can have a fracture. You must know women who've gone like, I put my hand down, I broke my wrist, I broke my shoulder. Well, they're not the frail old person. They are people in their 50s who tripped and fell and broke a bone. Whereas when we tripped and fell at 20 and 30, we just laugh. And go like, oh my God, did you see that? Did you film it? And at our age, you kind of go like, oh, that really hurt and I've hurt myself. And then you become scared. And I think community is the way to be because we cannot go along the route of going to the gym and doing the standard class. You have to understand the woman. The woman wants to feel seen. You want to be recognized as somebody who wants to reclaim their fitness and kind of say, like, I get you. I know what you're going through. Come with me. I'll make you feel fitter. And you and I work in communities. All those skills of all those years of teaching, of communicating with people, is there. We have honed those skills for many years. Now we have the knowledge. Now we understand. And let me tell you, there are more women over 50 who are exercising than younger women. Younger women go to the gym, and I love it. I love the fact that younger women are going to the gym and they're all lifting weights. And I just think the future's bright with them. But there's this group of women who maybe did some sport when they were younger, or maybe went to Zumba, or maybe went to step, who are now thinking, like, I don't recognize myself in that gym situation. Let's build our community, say, like, look, come along, exercise is fun. And while you're there, you'll teach them the menopause way. And I'm all my classes are sold out.
I love it.
Do you know what I mean? And
I do.
We have that ability to take our skills and the menopause knowledge and open our hearts and minds to women who are still active, who want to do stuff with the understanding about how to do it.
That's agreed. I mean, when you and I started in 1986, I used to teach an over 50s class when I was about 17, 18. And those people then, I can't believe I'm over, well, those people then seemed to be, I mean, they were literally coming in on sticks and, you know, it's how times have changed. You know, I would never go to an over 50s class. It's sort of over 80s, over 90s even now, isn't it? With that, things have changed.
I teach online, and the oldest person on my online class is 84 years old.
I love it.
She loves it.
Yeah.
And the youngest person's 40. So that's the kind of age bracket I'm teaching. But I remember I used to teach aerobics for the over 35.
Oh my gosh.
We were ancient. I remember teaching a YMCA course called Gym Instructor for the over 50s.
I can remember.
And sit in this seat now and take it really easy. And I'm kind of going, like, you know, get your 10K.
Get your weights.
Let's do some kettlebell swings. I don't care how old you are. We're doing them together. And seeing the change. And I think that understanding that we are still valid and we are still powerful and we can exercise and we can, we may not be able to do it at the bounciest that we used to be, you know, and maybe your joints creak when you go down. But I'm not giving in. I'm
me.
not lying down and rolling over, sorry.
Absolutely. Rachel, what's next for you? What's next for your academia and your research? Where are you going to take it next?
I've gone back to my dissertation.
Have you? Oh, wow.
So I've just applied to CIMSPA now for menopause motivation because, as I said to you, understanding the exercise is good. We got that understanding. We all know we should exercise, but getting the motivation to exercise,
yes,
for me is the thing. And the guy who used to own Morrison's before America brought it over used to say the most important thing was getting the person through the door, because once they were through the door, I knew they would spend money. And I'm not saying that we want them to spend money, but getting that person to exercise for me is key. Understanding the knowledge, great. Do it, planning your class, great. But if people aren't turning up, you need to know why. And so I did my dissertation on what's called the self-determination theory, which looks at intrinsic motivation. What do I get out of it? What do I want? So not about what you want, because you might want different things to me. What do I get out of it? And I thought, I'm going back to my dissertation because I did my dissertation under duress, I think. My husband was away working in Antarctica. My co-worker was on sick leave. I had a 9-year-old child. I was like, and I've gone back and I've put it together in a course to have a look at how do I motivate somebody to want to do the exercise. So that's what
so when will we see that come to life then, Rachel?
I'm hoping, well, it's been submitted. So I'm hoping to do like a one-day CPD course for that, for fitness professionals who are in this area of menopause, who can't get that group that we were talking about, these young women's. And I think is so key, because one stat, the scary stat, as well as everything else, was the highest suicide rate for women is between the ages of 45 and 54. Guess what that is? That's perimenopause all over, where you feel lost and broken and you don't know who you are. And if we can change that statistic through wanting women to exercise for their internal joy, then please come along, because I just think that's the way we need to go. And group exercise instructors, we're all there, we're all over this.
With Rachel, if anybody wants to come and look you up, where can they find you on social media?
Okay, as I've said before, so I'm called RBH Fitness, and this is my joke, because I'm quite a shy person, and I do like sit in the back doing all the research. But as a group instructor, you've got to be
outgoing.
So my inner channel goddess is Beyonce.
I love it.
So Rachel Beyonce Hubbard can be found on RBH Fitness. I'm on the web. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I went viral on TikTok last week, Rachel.
What did you do?
I did a problem about menopause, talking about frozen shoulder in menopausal women.
Oh, I need to look at you up.
100,000 views.
Amazing.
But I think that shows that there are women out there who kind of got a shoulder problem with things like, I've done something to my shoulder, and you kind of go, actually, it's hormonally driven.
Yeah.
The incidence of frozen shoulder in menopausal women is like so much higher than everybody else. This is what we can do as exercise instructors to help your frozen shoulder. Instead of sitting at home kind of going like, I can't put my bra on, come to class. Come to Pilates.
I love this.
Watch this.
Oh, and Rachel, you do lots of lives. I've seen you pop up all the time on Facebook, can't you? Do a lot of Facebook lives. So people should go and follow you and say hello for sure.
Thank you for it, because you're such a powerful fitness industry kind of influencer, that bringing people like me who have like a smaller audience, but with knowledge that maybe makes you think like, actually, I can do something here of value. For me, as well as everybody else in the same boat as me, I think that's so important. So thank you, Rachel.
No, you're welcome, Rachel. And as we said, we need collaboration in our industry. We need to all come together and talk about this and how we can help more women, and how we can, like you said, that cascade. So whether it's training providers coming together, it's other fitness professionals who have an interest in delivering high quality menopausal programs, we need to come together and discuss, and the training providers and everything. We all need to get together and collaborate for sure. Thank you. Rachel, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. I really appreciate it. And guys, leave me a review. Let us know. Did you enjoy it? Do you want to see more? Would you like to have Rachel back and we do a part 2? Let me know. We've only just scratched the surface. But yeah, we would love to hear from you. So thanks everybody. And thank you, Rachel.